Coming up on this episode of Don't Panic, we've got a week's worth of tech news to discuss, including Snapchat's big IPO, Super Mario Run getting a price, Twitter working on its abuse problem, Instagram going live, and Elon Musk's march towards world domination. You're not going to want to miss it. It's Don't Panic, and it starts right now. This is Don't Panic, episode number 150, recorded November 21st, 2016, celebrating our Sesquicentennial. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by two guys who are about as... I don't have anything to say here. Colby Rabidou, Dan Miller, these guys.
Yeah.
Enjoying their holiday weeks. Some more than others. Some who get a real holiday week. Others who get holidays.
Yep.
Excited for some turkey and stuffing.
I'm always excited for turkey and stuff.
I know. Oh, Colby, I saw the other day, so I went to a crepes restaurant. Occasionally I do interesting things. And they had
That's called a creperie.
All right. I'm not that lame. That is crossing a line I will not cross.
It's not as lame as a crepeteria.
No, but see, I'm going to give you credit for that one, because at least that's clever. No, what I love is that...
you could get it from the crepe vine.
Oh my god.
That's a restaurant. That's
I know. I stole that one in Tallahassee.
That's a good one though. That's points to them. No, what was great was that there, and I thought of you, Colby, they had a Thanksgiving crepe with turkey and stuffing and cranberry. And I'm like, that seems like something cool.
I mean, as much as I like Thanksgiving stuffs, I hate savory crepes.
Ooh.
I've never had a good savory crepe. I don't think they exist.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with you a little bit. I also don't care for it's a dessert type item.
I agree.
Maybe fruit and yogurt for breakfast, but certainly
yeah,
don't push it. No, that is fair. But
nice.
As I'm sure you guys heard, our 150th episode.
This one,
it's our Sesquicentennial.
Oh my Lanta!
I know. Isn't that exciting? We've done 150 of these. That's downright irresponsible. I can't believe they let us. Someone should have stopped us a long time ago.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Well, congratulations.
I think it just lends credence to the idea that you can do literally anything you want online.
we Oh boy, I don't know if that says anything good about what we're doing here, but so be it. I think that's very exciting, and I congratulate all of us. 150.
Go team.
Go team. Team Don't Panic. It's very exciting. I challenge somebody, go listen to our past 149 episodes. Tell us if we missed anything. So what's been going on, guys? What's any big news or big things going on in life before we get to the meat here?
It's Thanksgiving.
It is. Very
relaxing.
Exciting.
I went to see Fantastic Beats and Where to Find Them this weekend.
Fantastic Beats and Where to Find Them.
Yeah,
that's
Colby's
new album.
I was gonna say that's Colby's first rap album.
Oh, I was thinking it's a little known documentary about organic beets.
Oh, there you go.
Vegetable.
If that came up on Netflix, I'd totally believe it.
Yeah.
Or the new Dr. Dre pop-up store in Manhattan.
Yep. Fantastic Beats by Dre. I like that. And some tie-in marketing that was never executed. How was the movie?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I feel like it was more like it wasn't necessarily as like, well, the characters like aren't children, so I think as an adult, it's like all the great stuff about Harry Potter without a lot of the sort of like high school drama, which not to say that like that made Harry Potter bad. Like Harry Potter was great for what it was, but this is like a new sort of story in the Harry Potter world. And I thought it was good. I enjoyed the characters. This one takes place in America instead of in Britain. And I enjoyed the sort of like magical culture differences in America versus the Harry Potter, the like magical world in Britain. I thought that a lot of that was cool. And I'm looking forward to the sequels. So
Neat. Yeah, that was what excited me about the movie. I as a kid, I liked it more. As I become older, I just don't find Harry Potter and Hogwarts and that particular story as interesting. But I like the concept. I like the universe. I like the rules. I like the magic. I like that. So I am actually kind of interested to see other characters in different places doing similar things. So
indeed,
that'll be neat.
yeah, that's all I got though.
That's all. Yeah.
No,
Nothing
about
crazy happened here.
Well, I went to a Renaissance festival this weekend.
Yes, I was hoping this was the real meat you were referring to us getting to.
I know. We just had to get through Colby's boring story before we got to the interesting one. No. So apparently this is like the largest one in the country, or like close to the largest one in the country. I don't know if it meant in terms of population or size, whatever. But massive. It's like 55 acres. It's huge. And aside from the enormous traffic problem getting in, which was terrible, it was a giant fucking Renaissance festival. It was crazy. People in like these elaborate costumes that clearly cost way too much money were walking around, and it was a weird mix of like fun stuff for families / adults who like to play dress up and smoke a lot of weed and get drunk / like Etsy type sellers who make weird crafts, but only people interested. They were like, get your pewter goblet here. And I'm like, that does not apply to me.
You didn't get a pewter goblet?
I didn't. There was so much like weirdly specific stuff that, like get your leather goods. And I'm like, I don't need, thank you. Like get your magical walking stick. And I'm like, I don't.
Do you see any LARPing?
Well, they did have like more legit demonstrations and things. No amateur LARPing, but we saw the
professional LARPing.
But wow, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Be like, I like LARPing as a career. But my favorite, I would say my least favorite thing about it, what really bothered me was that the timeline didn't make any sense. Of course, this is me, and you guys know me. I'm very particular about these things because I'd be walking around and there would be like people in like Renaissance type outfits, the long dresses and some armor and things like that. And then there were also like steampunk people, which was weird. And then there were barbarians, and then I saw some Vikings, and then there were also pirates, which I still don't quite think is right. And then there were like fairies was a big thing, so people dressed as fairies, which I kind of think is related. I'm not a historian, but that really bothered me. And then the best thing I saw the whole time, my favorite thing, and I'll never forget, was there was a group of Renaissance dressed people walking by me, and one of them was wearing a full tuxedo. Like a legit, like a top to bottom bow tie, was wearing a tuxedo. No idea why. Nobody else was wearing a tuxedo. It just, apparently you could just wear anything and it counted at the Renaissance fair, so.
That's crazy. I've never been to a Renaissance fair.
Me either.
I didn't care for it, but you might.
I didn't think that you would.
No, and my mother's visiting and she really wanted to go, and I'm willing to try it. I was willing to give it a shot, but it was weird. It was just, I appreciated the people who you could tell who were a little older, who had done this a lot, who were really into it. Hello, my lord, my lady, they were really into it. But then there were like, the really like kind of slutty dressed, get drunk high, young people who were just kind of terrible. So
gotcha.
That was not as fun, but gotcha. I got to make fun of it a lot. So that was the most fun, was just pointing out how stupid all of it was. So
well, I'm glad that you had that.
No, but seriously, if you're in the greater Houston area, it's worth checking out. It's apparently the largest. So there was.
Is it like always there? Does this happen?
No, it's 8 weeks in the fall.
Oh, cool.
8 weekends in the fall. But the grounds, it's kind of like if you ever been to the Big E, the Eastern States Exposition Fair in Massachusetts. The fairgrounds are there year round. It's actually built out like an old village, and the buildings are meant to look old, and there's like a professional stages. It's like it's a legit thing. It's just they only do it for a few weeks out of the year. But
cool.
An interesting experience. Nonetheless, probably won't be back next year, but it was fun.
Nice.
So there you go. That's my exciting story.
That's pretty exciting.
Yes, it is.
I went to the. This is what I did this weekend. I was having such a hard time remembering. I went to the botanical gardens because it was 68 degrees in New York on Saturday. Yeah. I was wearing just a long sleeve shirt.
Beautiful.
And they had this crazy indoor train exhibit, and I heard about this, and I went to see it. And what I didn't realize is all the trains are made out of plants, and all the buildings are made out of plants. So if you're ever in New York and you want to literally go to as far north in New York as you can go and still be in New York City, then go to the New York Botanical Gardens. I don't know. I'll report back after I go when it's nicer and report on actual garden bits. And this has been your garden update for Don't Panic.
That's very cool. I always thought we should be a gardening show. I feel like that's a wide open space.
Have any of you ever gardened?
I have a fake plant I got at IKEA. Does that it's little and it's green.
Has it died?
Almost.
I've gardened. Both of my parents are plant scientists, and I grew up on a farm, sort of. So
yeah, Colby would be the resident pro if we had one.
I was expecting it to end with both my parents are plants.
I love them very much.
Funny story. That made me think of when we were way back. Speaking of our 150th episode, way back when we were talking about doing this show, and I was Googling around for names. There's another podcast that's called Don't Panic, It's Organic.
Yes.
I don't know what it's about, but I assume it's something like that. So we could, if we change topics, I don't know, there could be a throwdown or something for encroaching on their turf. We already took their name, sort of part of their name.
We own them. Don't worry about it. We're better. We've done 150 of these. I'd like to see the Don't Panic, It's Organic people come at us.
Yeah. I have no idea if they're still publishing.
Watch as they have a zillion more followers and listeners than we do. These super popular organic podcasts. People keep tuning into this show. Why are they talking about technology and Renaissance fairs? This is confusing. I just want to hear about plants. Came to the wrong place.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to thank everybody watching live on Facebook right now, facebook.com/Don't Panic Show. We got our eyes on the comments. We got John Pedrades. We got Michael Kurtz, our #1 fan. Michael, I did send you your keychain and stickers this weekend, so you will be getting them soon. Don't worry. I promise I sent them. Though you can't blame me for what the post office does. But we appreciate all of you listening. We encourage you to comment on the video. We'll be watching it all show long to see what you got to say about what we're talking about. We actually have news this week. Last week we did and last week's episode, by the way, was so fantastic, I thought we really nailed it on the Facebook fake news discussion.
Fake book fake news.
That's what we should have called the episode. That was a good one. So I thought we had a really good discussion, but we kind of just did one topic all hour because there was only one topic to discuss. But we actually have a bunch of news this week, so I suppose we can jump into it if you guys have anywhere you want to start.
Well, should we on the topic of last week? Should we follow up with the follow-up news on what we talked about?
I mean, that would be pretty unlike us.
I know,
but I guess we can start.
But real quick, real-time follow-up. Friend of the show, Sarah, says, by the way, Don't Panic, It's Organic is about weed.
Oh. So instead of fighting them, now we got to partner with them, right?
I guess
right.
So.
That's
go into business in Colorado and a couple more states.
Soon Massachusetts.
What was it? It's almost 20% of U.S. states.
Yeah. I think December 15th, it's not illegal anymore to possess it.
Colby's counting down the days. He's got one of those, when they say days since last accidents calendars. He's got one of those, but it's days until it's legal. He's tearing them off.
Colby, you should have
go out and buy
days
a cool
off until then.
What? Oh,
You should
yeah.
save your days off for then.
I guess so. A real missed opportunity. Uh, anyways,
Anyways, Facebook. And thank you, Sarah, for listening as well. We appreciate everyone who listens live. Sarah in our
Tied for last with us in the illustrious fourth place.
I know.
solidarity.
Well, we can do a super quick note of the Up for Debate Movie League. Because if we can't plug it here, where can we plug it? Upfordebate.tv/movies. You can check out the 2016 Summer Movie League. Right now, Matt is in first place with Doctor Strange and Fantastic Beasts. He's gotten all the good movies so far. Mike in second, Phil in third, and Colby, Dan, and Sarah all tied for last, but they have $0. So, that's probably why. You follow along there all summer long. We'll have updates here as well, occasionally.
All summer long? Is that what you
all
said?
winter long. I keep thinking it's the Summer Movie League. I don't know what time. You know what? The problem is, it was like 83 degrees here today and sunny, so I don't know what time of the year it is, frankly. I'm not bragging. Yeah, all right.
Oh.
I'm not bragging, but it is pretty. But then again, in the summer, you can go outside, so
It's true. It's true.
it's a bit of a trade-off.
Right. Right.
And to be fair, I'll be up there for 3 weeks, so at peak winter.
Right.
So it's a lose-lose for me. There's no winning.
Bummer.
Facebook.com,
right.
social network. Maybe you've heard of it. We talked last week about how they have a fake news problem. So Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck, went and posted to Facebook with a list of projects currently underway at Facebook to combat this problem. Now, he was not specific as to when they would be put into place or how they would be put into place. He merely discussed the fact that they are being looked at. Things like systems that help flag false information, as we discussed a little bit last week, better ways for people to report misinformation, and the flags to users once fake articles are reported, better recommendations when an article is clicked on, so those sort of suggestions you get under the article for related things, and updating its ad policies to discourage spam sites which profit off of that exposure. He also noted that Facebook would be working with journalists and respected fact-checking organizations to understand how they work to verify information so the company could learn from their efforts and experience. He did not indicate any sort of timeline for when, if ever, these will be rolled out to regular users, noting that, quote, some of these ideas will work well and some will not, end quote. He explained that the company has utilized user feedback and other sources to weigh the content so it doesn't spread as quickly through the news feeds. That's basically all he said. I don't know. Does that satisfy your...
I think the user tagging thing is a waste of time. It's like upvotes and downvotes on a website. People who don't like the thing are going to downvote it. People who like it are not.
Yeah. Didn't... So, on the topic of things that actually happen versus hypothetical things that will happen in the future, so both Google and Facebook updated their ad terms of service, right, to say that it's no longer allowed for you to promote fake news using like AdWords or Facebook ads. Mm-hmm. Correct.
Absolutely.
So that was a tangible thing. I think there was some article or something that was I saw this going around where like it was the first when you Googled the election or like the popular vote or something, the first Google ad result was a thing that said Trump had won the popular vote, which is absolutely not true. That was the first result, but it was like a promoted thing that was just incorrect, weirdly timely, and also false, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I mean, steps are being made. The New York Times had a really great piece today, now that I pay for the Times, I actually get to read it, about how fake news spreads, and it had a story of a gentleman in Austin, Texas, who tweeted out a photo of some buses and said that they were busing in protesters. The DNC was busing in protesters against Trump. Well, he didn't do it maliciously. He assumed that was the case. He was a Trump supporter. Tweeted it. This guy had like 40 followers. Nobody followed him. But because of a hashtag or whatever, someone found it, and it spread over the span of a couple days to reach, like, numerically millions of people. Because blogs picked it up, and it was reshared a bunch on Facebook by all these different pages. but the correction he posted the day after, a couple days later, nobody saw it. So, I think you're right, Colby. I think hitting the profit motive for these guys is, I think, when you talk about the ad revenue, that's a lot of the we think a lot of these people do it because they like one side or the other politically, or they're trying to get a candidate elected. A lot of the time, it's just they are trying to make money. And I'm sure there's a lot of money in this kind of traffic. So, I think if you shut down the money, you're really damaging their ability to inflict damage.
Right. Yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that many of these cases weren't, like, their motives weren't necessarily malicious. Only, I don't know, gaming the system, kind of.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I look forward to hearing something about something actually happening with that. We'll have to keep doing, hard-hitting, no-nonsense reporting on Don't Panic.
No, I don't think so.
That's changed.
I don't think so. We were allowed to panic for one episode. That was it.
All right.
No more panicking. Speaking of not panicking, we've got more non-panic news here. That's
Or not
segue.
alarming nudes.
Yeah.
Nudes.
No, we have some pretty alarming nudes, frankly. I don't know if you've seen us.
Oh, God.
This isn't even beer. This is just tea.
This is sure. That's what they all say.
Long Island iced tea.
Hey, we know what Colby's, into. So,
Why is this happening?
I don't know. This is spiraling pretty quickly. This is what happens when you take the week off of work. A little too casual. Usually we're so professional. I don't know.
Too casual.
Too casual.
We can rename the show Too Casual.
Too casual. With Colby, Dan, and Sean.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
What's next?
Well, I think let's do the Twitter abuse thing since we're all super serious.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Twitter. You may know it as the social network that nobody wants to buy. Well, they've come under a lot of fire for not handling the abuse situation on their website particularly well. Some have described it as a cesspool for hate. You be the judge, but Twitter has at least begun to do something about it. They have some changes that they just are starting to roll out that they announced this week, starting with the ability to report abusive or hateful content, which, by the way, would you like to know how Twitter defines that?
Yes, I would.
It is, quote, specific conduct that targets people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religious affiliation, age, disability, or disease. So I guess I could call you an idiot on Twitter, provided that wasn't a diagnosed illness.
Well, that's true. So
just so we're clear what they mean by this, that content can now be reported for removal by anybody. So previously, you had to be the target of it. Now, if I just see someone saying, Colby is a diagnosed idiot, I can say, no, you can't call him that because it's, that's inappropriate as a bystander, which I know a lot of users were asking for. In addition to this, users can now mute not just accounts, because you used to be able to mute an account so they couldn't tweet at you, but specific keywords and phrases that would apply to anyone, as well as conversations you're tagged in.
Can I do this yet? I looked a couple days ago. I still couldn't do it.
Let me scroll down.
Yeah, where are you supposed to be able to do it?
I'm assuming in the Twitter app. I'm assuming if you use a third-party app.
Oh, I use a third-party app, and I already have that feature.
Oh,
okay. But I want it on the website, too.
Yeah, it doesn't say. I don't see in this article, Dan. If you can find it, credit to you, because I don't see it here. Maybe it's out now and available. I'm not quite sure. There's a little chart on this TechCrunch article we're looking at that tells you how to do it in the app, but not on the website.
Maybe you can't do it on the website yet.
Maybe not. I'm sure it'll. Twitter tends to do updates to their apps first and their website second in this mobile world. In addition, Twitter has also said that it's retraining its support teams and overhauling its system to deal with abuse reports more quickly and sensitively. So, gentlemen, I ask you, is this a good first step? Have they not gone enough? Will they ever solve this problem? Maybe those are kind of big questions.
I think this is the only solution to the problem, really. Yeah. I think, unlike fake news, this sort of stuff is super difficult to detect, especially on Twitter, where it's all sort of real time and unfiltered, is the idea. Like, it's not like search results where you only see the most relevant tweets when you open the app. You see all the tweets, modulo some recent changes. So I think this is all they can do. It's what Facebook does. Like, they have a room full of humans, many rooms full of humans reviewing reports.
The biggest problem for me when it comes to abuse on these channels and the difference between Twitter and just say Facebook is that Twitter by nature is more anonymous. I mean, Facebook requires you to have a network of friends. I'm not saying you can't be anonymous on Facebook. I'm just saying the vast majority of people who use it tend to not be anonymous, whereas I feel on Twitter that's a bigger problem. And so how do you deal with a problem that doesn't have a name tied to it? And I think probably the best way to do that is just en masse with force. And whether that's more aggressive muting or more aggressive tagging or flagging or whatever you want to call it, that's pretty much the only way, because they'll pop up as quickly as you can swat them down. So I think just putting the control more so in the user's hands is really the only way you can do it. I think it's a bulk problem that Twitter's always going to have an issue with.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, like you said, it's the sort of public nature of it is like near almost anyone anyone who doesn't have a private account on Twitter can talk to and be talked to by anyone else. Unlike, as you said, Facebook where it's like sort of an opt-in thing. Like there is some acknowledgement between at least people to people, right? You can interact with others on like pages and things.
And that's what's great about Twitter, right? Is the fact that's
right.
a selling point when people aren't being dicks about it. So
right. So yeah, I think like you said, this is almost the only solution to the problem. Like letting people mute and like block people on their own, and mute and block like certain words and things is probably a good idea. Obviously, it doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening.
Right. Well, I think that the next step for Twitter is going to be more aggressively suspending accounts. That's got to be. I know that's a pretty aggressive step for them to take versus just either temporarily suspending or muting or things like that. But I really think that's, if this becomes a big enough problem that they see it hurting their business, they've got to be more aggressive, and that's probably the next step, is for them to just straight up suspend accounts more aggressively, certainly, than they are now. Because as far as I understand it, they don't do that very often now, unless it's pretty egregious.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hope that these things will help for a lot of people, like the majority of people. This is not, I mean, I can't say like I'm sort of a passive Twitter user. I kind of just read stuff. So I don't think I've necessarily ever experienced this really, like having like, I don't know, getting trolled or whatever. I don't really talk to people, so no one talks to me. But I've certainly seen it happen. I didn't mean to sound disappointed about that. I'm pretty much fine with it.
Considering the alternative, like what we're talking about, maybe it's better you don't.
Yeah.
You can add muted words. So you go to settings, and then you think that that's all the settings they have, but then you notice on the left that there's like way more settings you can click on. One of them is muted words.
Ooh, bonus
and
settings.
another is muted accounts.
Cool.
I really think, by the way, that I'm a Twitter addict. Did I tell you this?
No.
Because I tried to stop. I tried to stop using Twitter after the election, and I had to go back. I couldn't stop because I realized that's where every piece of information I know about things other than my own life I get via Twitter.
Wow.
Like I just stopped knowing what was going on about anything.
Did we talk about how I have successfully pretty much stopped using Facebook after the election?
Well, is that hard though?
I
feel like Twitter would be harder. Maybe for me, anyway. I don't get anything useful out of Facebook anymore. That thing has been useful for years.
Yeah. And especially because it has the events app and Messenger, I can still do all the things I want to do on Facebook without actually having to look at racist people's news stories in my feed. So.
But Dan, how are you going to watch Don't Panic live Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central?
Luckily, I don't have to. If I weren't on the show, I would still need to get Facebook.
But that's what I'm saying, Dan. Don't tell our audience. No, everybody listening, keep the Facebook app.
I did go on Facebook to like Mike Hertz's comment about my lame crepe puns. So, but I no longer feel the need to go on Facebook. Like I used to go on Facebook a couple times a day to see what was up, and now I only go on if there's something I need to do.
And that's a pretty solid policy.
Like
only when absolutely necessary should you use Facebook, like for this program.
Yeah, and not when under duress.
Yes, exactly.
Never use Facebook under duress. Never use Facebook while you're high in Massachusetts.
Generally a good rule.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we'll keep an eye on those, and hopefully they'll keep making it. Any improvement's good improvement, as they say. I don't think anyone says that. All right, what else can we talk about? We got Elon Musk's satellites, Instagram's live, Snapchat IPO, Apple's app strategy. Anything catching your eye? Anything not on the rundown?
I don't even want to know how much Snapchat's going to IPO for.
A bunch? Is that helpful?
It's all that value they're creating.
So neither of you guys read this story yet? I'm not telling you.
I didn't.
Okay, no, that's good though. Don't read it. Because
Okay.
I want you to guess their annual revenue.
Their annual revenue.
$0.
Is it?
Oh, revenue, not profit.
Yes, Dan, let's be very specific. Their revenue.
$10,000.
No. Okay, hang on. I'm going to do like $800 million a year.
Good guess. Good guess, Colby. What do you think?
I'm gonna say.
So remind us what a confidential
$500 million a year.
500 million. Now, the answer is, by the way, we don't actually know. So I hate to spoil it, but we know it's less than $1 billion. It could be close to that. We know they exceed just in advertising revenue. Over 350 million. So it's somewhere between probably 500 and $1 billion. So they do make money.
Yeah. I guess so they sell like the location filter things,
Yep.
right?
They put ads in your when you're watching the stories. If you watch them in a row, the ads pop up in between.
Oh, I've never watched this story.
Yeah, they keep. Okay, can we just time out on this Snapchat story for just a second and discuss the just horrific user interface choices that are made in the Snapchat app? I swear they're trying to make it more difficult to use.
I think.
I don't know how to use it.
But everything's hidden.
Memories
Everything's
works.
hidden. It's so unintuitive.
Yeah. I wonder. Like, I feel like that was a characteristic of the original Snapchat app, and I wonder if they feel like they have to continue doing that, like to be Snapchat. Like that is like a quintessential part of the Snapchat identity.
What, to be terrible? I mean,
maybe. Or on the other hand, though, like maybe it's like a rite of passage sort of thing. Like once you know, you've been initiated, and then you're a Snapchat.
So
I don't.
No, but it's a good example. So you remember in a I want to know how after. Yeah, I know you guys aren't super big Snapchat users, but when you're watching stories, they used to just play one after another, and they'd play in a row. And then in an update, they got rid of that, so they only opened one at a time. But then they added in a feature where if you tap the little circle user icon, with a picture for each user, if you tap those, it makes a playlist. So you tap only the ones you want to play and then hit the play button. I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't already read about it when the update got published because I follow tech news. Like just an average user, I don't know how you would have discovered that.
Huh.
It's just, the app is slow and it's full of crap and it really bugs me because it really doesn't have to be. It's menus hidden on top of menus with features that with no indication that they even exist.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I honestly don't really use Snapchat, but Jill and I do, like, probably every other day we open Snapchat and look at the weird, like, face things they do. like the face. And today we realized that you can do that with people on the TV. Like,
Oh my God.
and it's pretty hilarious. But I rarely actually send a Snapchat anymore. Even less frequently than I used to.
That's got to be the next thing. They got to start charging for those. They'd probably make a lot of money.
It's true.
Snapchat. But yeah, they're going to IPO. They're going to raise about $4 billion with a valuation of between $25 and $35 billion.
Wow.
25 and what?
And 35, somewhere in between. Depending on what it could get as high as 40
25
billion.
to 35 Instagrams.
Yes, exactly. Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. Well, good for them, I guess.
But that's only about 2.5 WhatsApps, right?
Yeah. WhatsApp was like 16 or something.
WhatsApp was closing in on 20 billion.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
1.5 WhatsApps.
Yeah, not even, like 1.25 WhatsApps.
So, yeah, I guess then that makes sense. Except WhatsApp got bought. They didn't go public.
That's true.
Right.
True.
Oh, and Michael Kurtz reminds us on Facebook that Snapchat charged users for the ability to permanently have access to the first filter they had, the one where you vomit a rainbow. And I did, and now that he said that, it does remind me, I do remember that at one point they were charging. I don't know if they still do. But they also, if you guys remember, they charged you for replays of snaps. You used to be able to buy them in a 5-pack for 99 cents. We talked about it on the show. I don't know. Snapchat just likes to pick up stuff, try it, and then drop it. Like I don't. They're just all over the place. It's so confusing. It reminds me of Twitter, where it's like just pick a strategy. I don't get what you're going for, and then they'll do something, drop it, and then pick it up again.
Maybe we don't understand because we're too old.
Look, they're worth $35 billion. Okay, maybe they know something we don't. I guess I can't fault them.
Maybe they've convinced all these people that they know something that they don't, but actually they don't know anything. So it's just
serious mind games.
Yeah. Who knows?
Expensive mind games. Are you guys going to buy stock in Snapchat? Build your portfolio around it?
Well, they're a camera company now, right?
Yeah.
They're a sunglasses company, Dan.
No, they said they're a camera company.
Is that what it is? Oh, boy. That's good.
Yeah.
Worked out well for Kodak and Polaroid.
Right. No. I will not.
Fair enough. That's probably a good idea. But then again, we were all saying, who would buy stock in Facebook? And now they're worth how much? So, but we don't give stock advice on this show. You also said that about Twitter, and they imploded.
Right.
GoPro's a camera company. They imploded.
Who? Wait, what?
GoPro.
GoPro.
Yeah. So,
and I wouldn't have invested in them either.
That's...
And what was the other one before GoPro? Remember those little stick cameras?
Flip video.
Flip video.
Yeah.
Those were huge for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
My I don't know if John's still watching. He's my stock investor friends, and he tells me what stocks to buy. But he keeps me in oil stocks, and those have all crashed, so I don't take his advice anymore.
Unreliable.
I just like to razz him about it. Okay, very good. Well, that's what's going on with Snapchat. Keep an eye out for that. I didn't see in this article a date of the actual You know, these things take quite a while, so there's no actual date for when it will go. Potential March. So look forward to that in March.
Cool.
As well.
I won't.
Okay. All right. Dan's telling it like it is, not holding back. All right, we got time for another story or two in here.
I'm interested in SpaceX or the Apple thing. I didn't read this Apple thing. I must have missed it the first time.
I think it'll be a quick one. I just thought it was kind of interesting. So, as I'm sure you guys know, and I think some of our audience will know, the reason Apple makes zillions of dollars isn't just that they sell phone. They also get 30% every time you buy something through the App Store. Turns out that's a pretty good business model. Let someone else do all the work. You just facilitate the payment, you get a cut. It's called the Visa model. And so Apple has decided to do something interesting about that. So let's say, Colby, you came out with Colby Vision, and it was an app filled with videos about life in Colby Land, okay? And they would be about gardening and llamas and hoodies. I don't know. Colby
Is this what Colby's going to be doing on December 15th in Massachusetts?
That's right. And there'll be a whole video channel about whatever.
Out in Colby Land?
Yes. Traditionally, Apple would take a 30% cut of every time someone subscribed to Colby TV, right? Apple's doing something a little interesting. They've decided, Colby, we talked about on the show back a couple weeks ago about the new TV app that's going to be on Apple TV and your iOS devices that aggregates all of the television services, right? Your Hulus and your whatevers, and you can search all of them. If you're willing to integrate Colby TV in with the TV app, they'll only take 15% of your revenue.
So do you think this, I mean, do you think this is like a, I don't know, like a please Amazon, put your app on the Apple TV kind of thing, or Netflix too, right? Like they're the notable absentee from the TV app lineup.
Well, it's interesting because, of course, just using those two examples are very different companies, right? I mean, Netflix doesn't drive any revenue through the App Store. It's a free app, and Apple never sees a dime from them. Amazon is different in that one of the reasons they pulled that you can't buy something through the app itself is that they don't want to give Apple any percentage. So you're right. Maybe the 15 will make a difference. It's the same reason you can't buy a Kindle book in the Kindle app. You have to go to the website.
Right.
So it could make a difference.
Yeah. Does Can you sign up for Netflix like on an iOS device? Like, do they do the same thing where they dance around it? Like, if you're subscribing to Netflix, do you use?
You can definitely do that with HBO. You can sign up for HBO.
And what's interesting is that is through the App Store, and they do take some kind of cut. Although it was a big deal because it was iOS exclusive when it launched, right? So I don't know if they negotiated a special price or not. Netflix, I would assume you go through Safari, and you do it over the web.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's 30% is kind of a lot. Especially, it just seems like a lot to me. Like, if you think about, I don't know, I'm sure, I hope that like services like Netflix or Hulu have like the numbers on their side, right? Where, I'm sure they know how the math works out, and I can only assume it works out for them okay, at least, if they're willing to put up with this at all. Or they do the thing where you have to like sign up on the web. But even thinking about just regular apps, like, some like 1099 app that you buy, like a to-do list app or something, like 30% is like $3. So you pay $9.99 and they see what, like $7 of that? Is their tax too? I don't know. Like, are apps taxed?
Probably. It's safe to assume that everything is taxed.
Yeah. I guess the tax is probably on top of that price. But that's like kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a lot. I don't know. I'm sure Apple makes a lot of money off it.
Oh,
But
well.
Well, there's been a
thinking
lot
about
of
being
talk.
one of those people, it feels kind of bad.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about how unsustainable it is to actually be an app developer,
Yeah.
and it seems pretty unsustainable.
Right. Right. For I don't know, just for the like I mean, I guess that's what it is. It's literally just the privilege of being there in the App Store is what you're paying for. But
Well,
it's
and
pretty rough.
I have to look at what the Google cut is in the Google Play App Store.
I don't
Because
know either.
I actually, off the top of my head, yeah, there's this for anything you buy, it's 30% as well. So, that's if you've got to reach, it is a high number. I'd agree. I think if these platforms are so ubiquitous and so massive that at what point do you say I'll pay almost anything to reach the people on these platforms, and at what point does 30% become reasonable in a
Right.
world where it seems awfully high? One of the reasons
In a world.
where one company owns all the app stores, one man refuses to pay 30%. But Apple will require you to integrate with their TV app. And that's what was interesting to me to this story. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it was that something doesn't feel right about this to me. Like, I realize it's actually probably totally okay that they do this, but it's like, why should they give a discount to people that integrate with their... It seems like double dipping in a... Because I want to say net neutrality. It feels like that. Like, it's not really fair that you make people integrate, give an unfair advantage to your own TV. Like if we decided to build the Don't Panic universal TV search app, there's no incentive for them to join our TV app, but there is to join the Apple one because they get a discount on their fee. And Michael
Wait,
kind of...
what? Oh, sorry.
Well, as Michael points out in the comments, if Google said that Google search would be twice as fast if you searched through the Google Plus app, like, it's not, I guess, illegal, but it just doesn't feel right. It just I don't know. I'm just bothered by that they give a discount to people. It's like, get on board with our program.
So wait, it's an exclusivity deal?
That I don't know.
If it's not an exclusivity deal, then I don't see the problem.
But again, I see a problem if someone else wants to build a competing television app search experience that Apple has given.
Yeah.
That,
Well,
but I guess it's not wrong because it's their platform.
Right. Like the Apple's TV thing already has a significant leg up in that it's like integrated into the box, right?
Sure.
Like there's a button for it on the remote. I feel like the reason they're offering a discount is because they recognize that the third-party content providers are losing something by integrating with their Apple's TV app. Like they're losing their storefront, and now they're trusting Apple to do this stuff for them, which, like I'm sure Netflix and Hulu spend a boatload of time on their curation and stuff.
Well, and I wonder how different it is for a Hulu type service that's monthly subscription based and a Amazon or a Fandango or some of these sites that have pay per episode or pay per movie services, because that's where the revenue really gets driven, and where that 15% is going to make a big difference.
I wasn't even thinking about
But
that.
I don't know,
Yeah.
in the sort of demo that Apple showed, I didn't see any other. It was always, put in your credentials for the subscription you have. I didn't see them any other like pay per type service except for the iTunes store. So I don't know even if you can. But if you can, that's, I think, where it comes in more than the monthly subscription. Especially because you can, as we pointed out, somewhat easily push the monthly subscription to be purchased through Safari anyway, so you don't have to give Apple any percentage. I think that's way more difficult. As someone who uses a lot of Amazon stuff, it is a lot more difficult to buy individual items like books and movies through the web store than it is through an app.
Right. Oh wow. Yeah, that that would be a different. I was thinking only about subscription stuff. So yeah, if you're considering it as a like buy this movie or rent this movie thing, like things that directly compete with what iTunes does, I was thinking about.
The other thing too is I don't like to buy my services through Apple, to be honest, especially subscriptions. I find their subscription sort of management is kind of lackluster, and frankly, I'd rather just buy it
but
through
you
the
had to watch
website.
Westworld because of how lackluster you thought their subscription management was. You should be thankful.
Actually, I am
it.
very thankful. I've gotten caught up. I didn't see last night's, so I'm not completely caught up.
The week before.
Oh my god! I have a lot of to be honest, if there weren't already 700 of them, I would do a Westworld podcast because I could talk about that show for maybe after we hang up. We don't want to spoil it for anybody, but
Yeah.
I have thoughts. And Colby, I listened to the Decoding Westworld. That is a very good show. Thank you for recommending that.
Yeah, I think they do a good job.
That was that got me thinking in ways that I don't normally think. So I +1 that pick. Right, that's what you used to do on Google Plus when that was a thing. Let's see. We can briefly do one more story. We got Super Mario Run, Elon Musk, and Instagram still in our shadow. You want to talk about Elon Musk? You want to talk about his satellites?
Sure.
His evil plan to take over the world?
Yes.
Okay, why not, right? Elon Musk talked quite a while ago, actually. He talked back in 2015, in January 2015, so almost 2 years ago, about an idea he had. And that idea was to put a zillion satellites in space and use them, not actually a zillion, to create a global internet that beams down from space. They would orbit at about 750 miles above Earth, which would be different from the traditional communication satellites that are at an altitude of up to 22,000 miles, so way lower. And it would make for speedier internet service with less distance travel, obviously. Now, of course, that was just an idea, right? It was just a vision. Well, Google went ahead and gave him $1 billion to try it out, and they decided to put a bunch of their own money on it. Well, according to the FCC, SpaceX actually filed a legit plan to put more than 4,000 satellites into space. Musk then estimated it would take about 5 years and cost $10 billion. That's what Google was buying into. They will reportedly begin with a fleet of 800 satellites, and assuming that's successful, they would then be increased over time.
Well,
That's pretty much what we know.
what maybe this isn't the right question to be asking, but how would my phone connect to these satellites? Is 5G satellite internet or something, or
No, that's
is this for getting broadband to places on the ground or something?
That is a really good question. And unbelievably, I don't understand how satellite-based communications work. I know, it's surprising. I do know that from what I've read, they have a competitor, a different company that I believe Elon Musk is more to your home. They have a competitor that's more to base stations near your home that feed then over traditional wires to your house.
Gotcha.
I can't imagine it would go all the way to your phone. I think it would more be rooftop satellites and antennas type thing.
That makes sense. I mean, I think that's just as noble a goal. That is already a thing. If you I at one point during my childhood we had DirecTV because cable didn't go to where my house was. And on DirecTV, when you have satellite TV, you constantly get the advertisements for satellite internet,
which is terrible.
Yeah, that's what I hear. It doesn't sound appealing, especially when you also see the commercials for cable or other internet services. Wow, that's a downgrade. I'm sure it also comes with all the great features of DirecTV, like it going out when it rains. But so I would be fascinated to know more about this technically. But seems cool.
Yeah,
I
the
guess.
interesting thing is it being lower, right? At that 750 mile mark, you're way lower, which would hypothetically greatly increase the speed. I agree with you, Colby. I don't know enough about the atmosphere to understand how weather would affect that. If it's either below it or because it's closer, it's not as bad.
It could also be like this was. I'm talking like
It's
how old are we
definitely
now? 20, 25? This was like more than 10 years ago too. That,
Oh, it
that
still
I
does.
was using. Oh,
My family still has DirecTV. No, it's still
Okay.
not like super often, but
yeah.
it still
So
does.
once in a while. Huh. I don't know.
But it will cover most of this sort of initial 800 satellites would cover areas of the globe from 15 degrees north to 60 degrees north, and from 15 degrees south to 60 degrees south, which is most of the world, including nearly all the United States, excluding some parts of Alaska.
Whoa.
It's pretty cool.
It would be well above the International Space Station, but well below traditional satellites. Each satellite would weigh 850 pounds and measure 13 by 6 by 4 feet, plus solar rays.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's neat. It does remind me a lot of the Wall-E, if you've ever seen that movie, when Wall-E leaves Earth and there's all the the just kind of big ring of satellites around the Earth he has to break through. Space debris now is a legit problem. I mean, NASA actually spends money and manpower tracking every little piece of space debris they can find. I can't imagine putting 4,000 satellites up in space doesn't have any impact with a shelf life of about 5 to 7 years on each of these satellites. But maybe because it's lower, it's like I said, it's below the International Space Station. It's above the space station, but below traditional satellites. So, again, I really wish we had like a space engineer. We really did not plan well.
Yeah, we gotta get one of those people on here.
We normally can just BS about most things we talk about, but I feel like we finally found our BS
We crossed
kryptonite.
the line. Yeah.
Yeah, one too far. But good, that'll be it. Look, hey, anything. Although Google Fiber didn't end up working out, so will we ever escape our cable monopolies?
Then again, though, like I feel like the interesting thing about SpaceX doing this versus almost any other company is that SpaceX already has rocket ships and they launch stuff into space constantly, which is probably the hardest / most expensive part. I would guess.
Well, and again, because these are this I don't know. So I'm just speculating. But because these are smaller satellites in larger quantities, when DirecTV puts up a satellite, I have to imagine it's quite large, quite expensive, and it has to go much farther. Therefore, it costs a lot more and requires more resources. If they can quickly shoot these up, like 4 packs of them, like, a T-shirt cannon into our atmosphere.
Like a Kindle Fire.
Like, yeah, exactly. And just like fireworks, scattershot them. I think that would, if they can do that, they'll be up and running much faster and easier than these sort of giant, big communication satellites. So it's an interesting idea, to say the least. I just can't wait till the new cell phones have giant satellite dishes sticking out of them so you can get SpaceX internet. No, you got to point it 38 degrees northwest. But I digress. All right, guys, we've got to move on to the picks this week. We've got a really healthy mix tonight, and I am going to ask Colby to go first.
Okay.
I don't know what this is, but I want to know more.
So my pick is kind of a nerdy thing this weekend, and by nerdy I mean technical. So it's called now.sh, and it's a sort of a cloud hosting thing for like JavaScript applications. So you could host anything from like some sort of backend service that runs in Node.js to like a front end static website service to anything in between. So basically, if it's JavaScript, it works. The things that are kind of cool about it is it's like you're not thinking it's not unlike something like DigitalOcean or Amazon AWS. You aren't thinking about like the actual servers. You sort of just push up this thing and it runs it, and it claims to like scale it out as needed, which is cool. I'm not built anything that I can imagine requires any scaling out to multiple machines. But if that ever happens, I'll report back on how it goes. But the
Hey,
coolest
the
thing,
rundown bot's gonna take off.
it could be. I did just successfully deploy the rundown bot to it. But the coolest thing is that if you are hosting a website on it, it does HTTPS automatically. So it does that for you. There is absolutely nothing you need to do. You can alias your own like domain to it, and SSL works, and you get a nice green secure lock with absolutely no effort on your part. It like requires SSL by default. Super cool. So if a thing you do is host like websites or JavaScript things, maybe you should check that out. It is free. You can run stuff for free on it for a while, and then there's like a pro version that lets you do other stuff. I don't remember. It might be the case that you have to pay for it to get a custom domain, but I'm pretty sure like the encryption is on for everyone, no matter what, which is cool. Unlike other similar services, which often encryption is one of the paid features, which I think is kind of a bummer. So that's my pick. It's now.sh. You can Google that or go to that website.
Or go to our website at don'tpanic.io, where we will also have the link. Very good. All right. I didn't understand any of that, but if you did, then congratulations. You're smarter than I am. Dan, you've got a bit of a different recommendation here for us.
Yeah. So I used to use a service that would send me an email with a bunch of cool clothes that I should buy, and sometimes I would buy some of them, but then they got bought and they haven't sent an email in like 6 months. So as a result, I have not bought any new clothes. So to get around that, I decided to try something that some people had recommended to me for a while, something called Trunk Club, which has had some pretty, I don't know. I don't like their brand very much, but I decided to give it a shot. And the cool thing is in New York, there's like an actual store you go to. So you go and they take your sizes, and the clothes are like not like cheap, but they're, from what I experienced, they're not necessarily the most expensive things either. It's just not going to be like bargain hunting. But the like stylist did a really good job of fitting clothes to me. Like I was really impressed. So if you want to sign up for Chunk Club and use my little offer code thing, I don't think you get anything, but I get something. So that's exciting. And click the link. Give it a shot. Maybe you'll also find some clothes that fit you really well. And I think my strategy with this is I'm going to do this about once a year. Yeah, it was really good for finding a winter coat, because a winter coat is something I want to spend like a fair amount of money on. I've gotten cheap coats, I've gotten coats that don't fit well, and that's like the worst. I don't mind if a t-shirt doesn't fit well. I can get around with pants not fitting perfectly, but coats, it really helps if they fit well. So maybe use it for something like that too. Check it out, trunkclub.com. Or click my link and give me some money.
Yeah, definitely go to our website, don'tpanic.io. click the link there. Help a guy out. Help Dan out. Dude needs to look good. He hasn't bought clothes in how long? He needs some clothes. Help him out. Very cool. Well, I will send us home with my pick, which I'm cheating, and it's a movie, but that's okay. Heavyweights is now on Netflix. If you've never seen this movie, this is like it probably top 10 favorite movie for me. I really, really like this movie. Interestingly, it was written by Judd Apatow, who I'm sure you know quite well from his many successes. And it stars Ben Stiller is probably the biggest star in the film, but it's a bunch of kids who go to a fat camp. But what they find out when they get to the fat camp is the usual very nice people who own the camp and are nice to all the kids and aren't really care too much if they lose weight. It's about having fun, are replaced by an insane fitness guy played by Ben Stiller, similar to his character in Dodgeball, if you've seen that.
I was just thinking of
It's
is that the same person as
a little more
Dodgeball?
kid-friendly. It is more of a family movie. But he is so funny in this. And the kids are actually really good. A young Kenan Thompson is in it, if you know him from Kenan and Kel and Saturday Night Live. And it's an extremely funny film, and it's on Netflix. And it's just worth watching for a laugh. I enjoy it. Maybe you won't, but I don't care. So Heavyweights now on Netflix. Go stream it. It's a fun way to spend an hour and a half watching a little taste of 1995 for you. Colby, we watched this in college once.
I believe you. I'm not sure if I was there for that, but I've definitely seen this movie.
Oh, okay. All right. I know we did.
Which is is surprising because I haven't seen a lot of movies that came out when we were children.
So check that out now on Netflix. All right, guys. Anything else you'd like to say to the folks?
Watch Westworld.
Watch Westworld. Watch this show Monday nights live on Facebook at facebook.com/Don't Panic Show, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Thanks everybody who joined us tonight. John, Michael, Sarah, and those of you who didn't bother to give us your name, we appreciate you being here and commenting. Michael's feeling lonely in the comments, so next week make sure everybody checks it out. Although I should say next week we won't be doing a show.
That's right.
We're off next week. We're recovering from all the turkey and the Black Friday shopping. We're going to have a black eye, and we're going to be all bruised from elbowing people for deals on flat screen TVs and other things. So, no show on Monday, but we'll be back the following week with more tech news. Of course, you can get all of everything about the show on the website, don'tpanic.io, as I've mentioned. All the episodes, the audio, the video, the picks every week. All the links are always there. So if you don't remember or you want to help Dan out, you can go get the links on the website. Also there, everywhere you can subscribe and follow the show on sites like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music. Of course, the video version on YouTube, youtube.com/Don'tPanicShow. And, of course, on Twitter at Don'tPanicShow. And don'tpanicshow@gmail.com is the email address. You should follow us in all those places. Just so you know, you can't over-subscribe and over-follow. I can assure you. There's no maximum.
You definitely don't get overwhelmed.
It would be much worse to miss something. So you really should follow us everywhere as well. And that's it. Oh, and hey, if anyone's still watching at this point, I'll just throw in one more. GameNights.tv going live later this week is the final installment of Dan's fantastic side quest Dungeon Master Dan set up for us. Will our characters get away with their exciting bank heist? First of all, there are only 6 episodes of this little side adventure, so it's really easy to listen to. So you can always start episode 1, but otherwise join us for the last one, episode 6. We'll find out the exciting conclusion, and it will actually surprise you. So I do recommend people you actually, I know we say that, but I actually mean it this time. It's quite a fantastic ending, so I recommend you check that out at GameNights.tv. That will go live sometime this week, but if you subscribe to the show, you'll get it when it does, and you can spend the first half of this week listening to all of the previous ones. So that is it. As I mentioned, we will not be back next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks with even more tech news. But on behalf of Colby and Dan, this is Sean, thanking all of you for joining us and saying we can't wait until next time to even talk about more tech news here on Don't Panic.